Greetings. Do you ever get a wouldn't it be nice if kind of thought? I once had quite a few of them. My supply has dried up, but one strong one blasted through my mental torpor the other day. Perhaps you can tell me if this is nonsense or not. I can't find any evidence of practicing Christians doing this anywhere. This is The Practicing Christian, and the report this week is entitled, I Just Don't Know. A conversation the other day with an active churchman suddenly set before me a huge question, and I haven't a clue to the answer. My meager efforts to ask others and to search the net have come up with about zero. You see, he and I were having a conversation about evangelism with respect to church growth and in response to Christ's orders for us to get out there with the gospel. He spoke of the people in his church who were working on this. I asked him how many were under the age of 40. Hesitantly, he answered, none. I then asked him how many people under the age of 35 were won to Christ and to the church. The answer again was none. A picture came to my mind. It was of a mature church, not a startup, in which all the people who were recruited to work on evangelism were 25 years of age or younger. Let me repeat that, because this is bold, italic, in red in the print version. A church, not a startup, where all the people who were recruited to work on evangelism were 25 years of age or younger. No exceptions. No mature advisors trying to guide them. No age creep. The Methodists, a long time ago, organized the Epworth League in 1889. They had nearly 2 million 18 to 35-year-olds organized for social service within a couple of years. People loved it so much they stayed for years and years. By the middle of the 20th century, there were chapters with no one under the age of 65. With mergers and reorganizations, the denomination still has an active 18 to 35-year-old group, but which notes in its literature for an age range that works well for your comfort. So I guess they still have that really serious age creep problem. I've thought of the objections. 12-year-olds don't know enough about Jesus. Often this is true. Perhaps it's true because no one expects them to know how to talk with others about Jesus. Therefore, they may not have been taught how to do this. It's like cleaning up their rooms. If no one expects them to do it, it'll likely be a mess. It's also like tomatoes. Looking at a garden where there are vines heavy with tomatoes isn't the same as learning how to grow them yourself. Another objection? Someone has to ride herd on them, or they'll do and say embarrassing things. Well, why would they be unable to ride herd on themselves? Did you ever see kids' baseball teams who couldn't work out the rules among themselves? Another one, they don't even know what evangelism is. Do you mean telling others about God's plan for the redemption of humanity through Jesus' sacrifice on the cross? That's the core statement, and it takes about 10 minutes to get the basics across. On the other hand, some churches simply want to know if you'll show up on Sundays, do good works, make a pledge, and be nice. Another objection, first you've got to teach these kids what the faith is all about. Wrong. With the message comes the beginning core of discipleship. Secondly, baptism follows that. And thirdly comes teaching them. These new people all that Jesus taught. Now, this is the way we read about it as directed in Matthew 8:18-20. As for under 25 inadequacy at making disciples of others, they can learn by doing. Fishermen don't learn how to fish in a classroom. They go fishing. Another objection: so you want a church made up of kids who don't know our history. That's your worry. These young evangelists can do a good or better job of turning a bland 43-year-old man into a Christian on fire for Christ than most 55-year-olds could. We might also remember Paul in 1 Corinthians 8:2-3. Quote, knowledge puffs up, but love builds up. Anyone who claims to know something doesn't yet have the necessary knowledge. But anyone who loves God is known by him. Close quote. Another objection: they might say the wrong sorts of things, or even to other kids. You mean like saying that a teacher or weak member that they're talking with about Christ, saying to him, I don't want you to ever give up on Jesus. Well, God bless the church that would have such a child so minded to say that to an adult. Have you ever heard one adult even say it to another? I don't want you to ever give up on Jesus. Final objection: sure, they'll say, yeah, I'll do it, and then forget it. Golly, you're right. Of course, no adult ever does that. There are legitimate questions that should be asked before turning the job of local church evangelism over to those under 25. Children, taken fully into the life of the church, will see how the Spirit works and will begin to carry the fullness of the gospel to new boys and girls and to new men and women. Some will say that we do take our kids fully into the life of our church. Really? I've never seen a congregation yet that baptized or confirmed its youth and then asked them to make a financial pledge to the church, just as the adults do. That's called patronizing people. Why did this idea seem to be of such importance to me? Because I've seen countless numbers of churches that grew older as the years went on and acted befuddled about this. The younger people just don't seem to come out or stay. People enjoy being with their own age cohort. A church would usually have several older cohorts that welcome older people. Sometimes they avoid giving younger people power because they might change things. Of course they will. If they love God and His church, they'll want to do things with prayer, worship, and service. New things. This isn't just a church problem. In its day, the mightiest retailer in America, the Amazon of the 20th century, was Sears Roebuck. Once with 3,500 locations, it now has about 700. As I've written, I have no idea whether any church has tried to do this. Biblical scholars note that elders in the Bible might begin trying out for this work in their late teens. Fully trained elders might be in their 30s. Perhaps at the least there could be an organizing of our church's evangelistic work with relatively younger adults, elders, helping them. Otherwise, they could become like churches that have men's groups that meet on weekday mornings. Why? Because only the retired show up. Whatever most practicing Christians might decide is best, it's good to remember what happened when the children were being pushed aside. Quote, Jesus called for them and said, "Let the little children come to me, and don't stop them. For it's to such as these that the kingdom of God belongs." This wasn't gentle Jesus being meek and mild. This was a king soon to be enthroned and wanting fresh, strong, young warriors of the Spirit for his kingdom. Not people set in their ways. Serve then, be the king's right arm.